Check out this insane AI transition. And I created all of this within a couple of minutes by using a super underrated AI tool that not too many people talk about. I didn't really have the time to hire an army of graphic designers to do this, and all of this was created by simply uploading my source video into a website, and then later I blended the clips together in my editing software. And in the next couple of minutes, I'll teach you all of this, and it's really shockingly easy. But before we get started, quick disclaimer, I'm using an AI tool called Kaiber to do this, but I am not associated with this company. Now, before we do the transitions, I want to tell you a couple of important things about the type of footage that I recommend to upload. You can either upload a single clip or an entire sequence to later turn it into this animation. The obvious benefit of choosing an entire sequence is that it is quite easy and fast, but it has one disadvantage. So let me show you a sequence that I uploaded. Here you see a quick edit that I made from my recent travels. So let's have a look about a few things. Here's how the converted sample sequence looks like. Now, as you can see, the AI platform doesn't really know that there are cuts and the sequence consists of different scenes and kind of tries to blend those together by using a type of cross dissolve. It doesn't do a horrible job, but you lose a little bit of control over the process. So if you want to do it properly, I recommend to import everything clip by clip and then patch it together in the editing software later on. Sometimes it can look good, and at other times it can look a little bit too much, so you simply have to experiment a little bit with it. Next, let's speak about one important thing. There is a certain type of footage that I recommend to use. Number one, it should be clean and simple. So you want a clean frame and not too many things happening, because otherwise the AI might get like a little bit confused. Second, you want to choose quite nice and saturated colors. Now, I used kind of the simplest frames I could find from my recent travels, but if you want to check it out and play around with it, another good starting point would be using a stock clip. So in order to illustrate this, I go to motionarea.com and I type in the words free. And there I can choose from a number of assets that cost nothing. Number one, I'm getting this time-lapse clip of clouds moving. Number two, I'm getting this astronomical clock that I think is in Prague. And number three, I'm downloading this ink blot, which we will use for the transition later on. I will link all of them below the video, and all of these are provided by Motionarea free of charge. So let's move to part number two, and that is uploading our clips. First things first, go to Kaiber and then upload your clip. Then you have the possibility to describe the scene, and I recommend to keep it as short as possible because you already gave the AI a reference clip. In my example, I just described the clouds moving or the astronomical clock. And then I choose from one of the presets, which is called Lost. I'm not sure whether that replicates the look of a famous anime cartoon or something like that. I really like this preset, but if you want to create something else, like a water style drawing or whatever, you can just pick a different one or prompt it yourself. The possibilities are like virtually unlimited here. In the next step, you simply choose a reference frame that you like the best and hit the generate button. And then you get to choose a slider where you define on how much this animation will evolve, or in other words, how crazy it should look. I like to keep that at the default setting of 6. Wow, this is so much fun. So if you don't mind, can you please leave a like so this video can also be seen by others on YouTube. Now after that, the platform will work its magic and you can download the clip in 720p. I know that sounds pretty low, but in my opinion is a pretty okay resolution because it is an animation anyway, so it doesn't matter as much. But if you want to upscale it to 1080p or 4K, then you can do it, but they will charge you a credit. Now, quick disclaimer, this website will give you free credits to play around with, but once you've used them up, it isn't free anymore. So if you want to buy more credits later on, it will cost you something like $15 for 1,000 credits, which goes a very long way. So for example, I did all of the sample videos using only a few hundred credits, and I personally think it's quite decent considering that they create results that are really cool and you don't need to hire a graphic designer or something like that. With that said, of course, an actual human graphic designer would create way better results, but I want to use this to create a cool transition for social media, and I have a much lower budget in that case, so I'm really happy to settle with the AI option. But of course, if you have the budget, I always recommend to hire a graphic designer and support somebody, of course. In the next step, you want to throw the clips on top of one another, and you can align them by decreasing the opacity of the top layer a little bit. So I can change it to about 50%, and then I can scale it and align it, so basically it matches the size. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of doing the transition, let's take a quick moment to thank Motion Array for making this video possible. Motion Array is my go-to source for anything related to video editing. As I said, I can't be more happy about their editing assets, which really shortcut my workflow. It is a super useful platform that supports video creators like you and me, and we're talking thousands of assets that you can download and tap into to give your video a little bit of extra spice. As I said, if you use their stock video and combine that with AI animations, it opens up a whole new universe of possibilities. But it is so much more than that. They also offer music, sound effects, editing templates, and so much more. I often find myself browsing through Motion Array when I don't know where to start with my videos, and their templates always help me to find a good starting point, plus it is also quite affordable. Motion Array got a membership-based model. That means you pay a monthly fee and in return you'll get unlimited downloads, just like an all-you-can-eat restaurant with really high quality food. If you sign up for an annual membership through my link below, there's a really awesome deal where you save $50. So instead of shelling out like $21 each month, you're now looking at just under $17, which I think is extremely affordable. Now, Motion Array is currently also running a really cool Creators Challenge. There will be 6 winners every week for 1 month in a row with really amazing prizes. So go check them out and consider joining their weekly Creators Challenge as well for a chance to win amazing prizes from top industry brands. Go to the Motion Array Instagram page or website to find out how you can enter. But finally, let's move on to the transition part. Now, first thing, let's talk about the speed of the transition. This AI can often be a little bit random and might draw weird things from time to time. So my general recommendation is, it's like when you do a magic trick. You want things to happen like kind of fast, because otherwise people might notice and they might call you out on it. So most of the transitions I showcased, they kind of happen in like 1 or 2 seconds, right? So keep that in mind and don't drag things out for way too long, because otherwise, you might get caught. All right, now it's time for some editing. We are going to blend 2 clips together using a few different techniques. I'm illustrating this in Premiere Pro, but we will use super basic functions like opacity and masks, so don't worry if you use a different type of software, you will still be able to understand and replicate this anyway. Okay, transition number 1 is using the masking technique. First up, let's do a wipe from left to right using a mask. You're gonna go to the opacity panel and draw a mask on the clip you want to transition from. Make sure you set a very high value for the feather, like 100. That ensures that the edge is quite smooth and that the mask blends very nicely. Then draw the mask off screen to the left and then simply keyframe it to move across the screen from left to right. And boom, it looks like the AI animation is being like kind of painted onto the screen once the mask has fully moved over the entire image, okay? In the next transition, we will increase the opacity to do a simple but effective cross dissolve. So simply go to the beginning of the top layer and then keyframe the opacity from 100 down to 0 at the beginning of the clip and from 0 to 100 at the end of the clip. This makes it look like the rear clip is fading into the animation kind of. Transition number 3 is messing a bit with the blend mode. In the effects panel, you'll find the blend modes under opacity. You can kind of play around with these a little bit to see how they change the interaction between the two clips. I think the option screen is a pretty good one, but it really depends on the type of colors that are present in the clips, but it's all about experimentation, so let's get a little bit creative. And last but not least, we're going to do an ink blot transition using the track matte key. So just grab the ink blot video we downloaded from Motion Array earlier and then place it above the two clips on your timeline. Make sure you place a cut at the second clip after the ink blot transition ends, and then place it above the two clips on your timeline. Then simply go to the Effect Controls panel, search for the track matte key and drag and drop it into the second clip. Then you want to go to the Effect Controls panel where it says Matte and change that setting to Video 3. And boom, now you can watch as the ink blot kind of forms a natural and artistic transition between your two clips. Pretty cool, right? And there you have it. I really love these effects and I think they're super unique and quite easy to pull off. And I've shown you a few easy, effective ways to blend those clips together. And that is it. I'll place a playlist here where I dig up all kinds of cool AI stuff that is related to photo and video editing. So feel free to check that out. And with that said, I hope you have a good day and I'll see you guys on the next video.